Good morning, Ian. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. You all right?
Yeah?
Souls cannot be free. Empower hungry animals, let it eat. If they want to, my soul, yeah, in peace, because I know the one holds the truth.
I feel so lucky that I get to work on my craft so that when things open up, I'm ready. I'm so confident that I'm going to be ready for what comes next, you know? And it genuinely, at the fact that I'm still able to grow and learn and, you know, be a part of what I consider the best studio in the country. And that's not, you know, that's not blowing smoke. It really is. Like, I've studied a lot at different places. This is the place to be. If you really want to be a full-fledged actor.
joy would be able to be who you are and have it celebrated and still let it belong to you. It's the best work you've done in this class. And ditto for you, Sophia. It's just so free, so generous, so moment to moment. Anything else, my friends? All right, so let's do it.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our
Mostly
home.
music, no actors' voices.
Ohio, in Sean's parents' house.
This is my parents' house.
In Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far, we drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
So looking back, I'm very proud that we did, and I can't imagine not doing it. Good morning.
You're frustrating me.
No, why are you're attacking me?
This is a keep going, keep going on song. This is a keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay?
What kind of shit is this?
Too practical?
A little bit, yeah. Don't you have an impulse to celebrate?
Your heart is breaking. I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And then I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. Hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going on. Keep going on song. Let's bring some joy into the room, why not? We can try it,
So for a moment I said, what am I doing? Why am I running around? So I guess what I'm saying, in between all the sadness and watching the news and reading the paper and being horrified and worried, I was also finding a stillness and a quiet that was much needed. It wasn't until your class, which I pushed myself to take your class, and you know how much I love you and how much I respect you. There was something calling me to take it and to be with you and to be with that class, which was, I mean, you know, it was a gigantic gift for me, because excuse me, it reminded me of the love of the craft.
Keep going on, song, and I pray that when we meet again, that the world has changed into the world that we are imagining now together. And I pray that the world has become the world that we're planting inside of ourselves for each other and for our ancestors and for our kids. Ooh, and we're gonna start. This is a rough beginning. That's all I've got is a rough beginning to offer you. We're gonna start by singing some songs in this tiny space together. We're just gonna sing some songs for you, and we hope that when you hear them, you will feel a little bit less alone, and we will feel a little bit less alone in the work and in the hurt, and we will be together tonight somehow, whenever this is, wherever this is.
You know, Terry always tells us to run to the cannons, and what he means by that is, like, if there's something that scares you emotionally, if there's something that you feel challenged by, don't run away from that feeling. Run towards it, because usually when you're in that area of uncomfortability, that's when your exponential growth can really flourish.
Keep going on, song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on, song. This is a keep going on.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the 2021 TK Studio virtual graduation ceremony. My name is Justin Semino. I'm an administrator here at the studio. We're happy to be here with you. Thank you for watching that look back at the last 2 years for these 44 graduates. Apologize for a few naughty words in there. Forgive us. We will begin, but first, some Zoom logistics, very important. If everyone could make sure they are muted right now, press that mute button. We have several speakers today who we want to be sure we hear and are not interrupted. Myself and Kristen, our other administrator, can help mute you if you can't find it, that's okay. If everyone could turn off their videos right now, that would be much appreciated, because we want to just be seeing our speakers, and at certain points we'll see our graduates' faces as well. But for audience members, if you could turn off your video. Again, Kristen and I can help turn off your video. If you need help, we'll do that. Yes, great, raising hands, great. Let's see. Great, we're almost there. Okay, we're looking good. Okay, excellent. Great. Other quick Zoom logistics. You can be in a speaker view or gallery view up at the top right of your screen to view this ceremony today. I don't think it matters. Speaker view, you'll just be seeing one person talking. Gallery view would be good because at times we'll see all the graduates on the screen. So if you want to see that, be in gallery view. Let's see, graduates. Just so you remember, we'd love for you to turn video on when there's a speaker. So Nate or Stevie or KiYonna or Hana have video on so that the speaker can see you and interact with you and you with them. And then when we get to Terry and Kendrick announcing graduate names, graduates, if you would just pop on when your name is called so we can see you alone and then go off. Come on when your name is called and go off. Guests, at the end, we will for sure have the opportunity for you to turn on your sound and your video so we can see everyone and everyone can celebrate together. I think that's all the logistics. For now, I will introduce the director of the studio, Mr. Terry Knickerbocker. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you so much. So nice to be here with all of you. And a huge tribute to Justin for once again putting together yet another event here at the studio. Hopefully seamlessly and flawlessly, and even if we do have some hiccups, we'll enjoy them. So God, thank you for coming. Welcome everybody. I would not have imagined in a million years that we'd have a virtual graduation at the studio, much less two virtual graduations at the studio. That's amazing to me, a little sad, but also I'm so proud of these amazing graduates that we are here to celebrate and encourage and support, because without their faith in this work and in the studio and in their teachers and in themselves, this wouldn't have happened. In March of 2020, all these students that you're seeing and celebrating today were in-person students in their first year. And then things changed. And many of them were writing me and saying, I don't think this is going to work. What are you talking about online? And we somehow figured it out, and they really helped me and all their other teachers to figure out how to do this and how to do it well. And then last summer, the conversations were, so when do you think we'll be back in person? September? And I was thinking, I don't know, September, maybe January, and obviously things have not unfolded that way. And yet, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful special work has been done by everyone that you're going to celebrate today. Every single graduate has risen above and beyond the call of duty and been brave and open-hearted. And when I was watching that little compendium, hello, it's Zoom, I was crying. These are beautiful souls, very special people. So we have some very special speakers today. We have some elders offering wisdom and encouragement, and also two graduates who were voted by their classmates and peers to represent them. And then we're going to recognize and read the names of every single graduate, and then I'll have some closing remarks. So that is the order, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who's Nathan Flower. I call him Nate. Nate is a Meisner-trained actor. He has developed physical technique and movement design for actors for over 16 years. He served as the head of physical training at the Maggie Flanagan Studio from 2004 to 2015, and then since then has been the director of movement here at TK Studio. He is also an assistant arts professor in the drama department at the Tisch School of the Arts at NYU, where he teaches acting technique as well as advanced movement and period style at the Meisner Studio. He's also associate chair of that department. The movement training that Nathan has initiated at these studios is a unique synthesis of the great works of June Kemp, Lloyd Williamson, Rudolph Laban, and Michael Chekhov. Hello again. This is so great. As well as original contributions from Nathan's broad experience in physical performance, martial arts, and ensemble development. Nathan is an actor, director, and performer whose recent credits include the Aquila Theater Company, Heracles at BAM, a female Philoctetes at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Julia Crockett Group, Tiny Parties at Judson Church and the Center for Performance Research, and the web series Patience. Directorial credits include A Few Good Men, The Clean House, Big Love, Top Girls, Angels in America, and The Love of the Nightingale, to name just a few. He lives with his family in Westchester County, New York, where he has worked to develop his parenting skills for over a decade. It is my honor and extreme pleasure to welcome Nate Flower.
Hi, Terry. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Can I get can somebody give me a thumbs up? Can you hear? All right. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I wasn't ready for this moment. Holy smokes. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to need about 5 minutes to just take everybody in slowly and methodically. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for that warm introduction, and thank you for, I'm so proud to be a part of this community, to be a part of your faculty. Thank you, quick thanks to Kristen Brown and Justin Semino for their ongoing and generous administrative support, particularly as producers of this event. I want to acknowledge and welcome and say hello to the gathered faculty, and I want to say welcome and hello to these 2021 graduating class of the Terry Knickerbocker Studio. I'm going to do some silent Zoom applause right now. Silent Zoom applause for the 2021 class. Yes, there you are. There you are. Yes. Oh my gosh. So, graduates, you actors, I'll be with you in a moment, okay? I'll be with you in a moment. This is your day, this is your hour, but I just want to acknowledge some other really important people here. You are surrounded and joined, and we are so grateful to be surrounded by family and friends, loved ones, people who have supported you, families, chosen families, partners, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, siblings, partners, romantic, domestic, and otherwise. So many people have supported you and loved you, and probably in some cases clothed and fed you as you traveled through these 2 years. And I think that is just such a remarkable thing, because if Meisner teaches us anything, it is the idea that other people are so important, right? That the other is always important to us. I think that is really like sort of the foundation of this work. And I think as we move into the next leg of your journey, I think I want us all to really celebrate and acknowledge that. But the folks I want to mostly acknowledge, they always say when you do a graduation speech, you always lead with a joke. So here's my leading with a joke. The folks that I really want to acknowledge are the cohabitants and the roommates of all these actors and all these graduates, right? Let's think back to 15 months ago, right? Terry acknowledged, we were all doing this in person, you know, back, remember in the before time, remember 2019, remember what that was like? And then all of a sudden we went fully remote and digital, right? And suddenly we were doing this work in our apartments, in our condominiums, in our homes, in our basements, right? I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the cohabitants and roommates of all of these graduates, right? And what those people experienced as they started to hear these strange noises coming from the bedrooms and the basements and the attics or offices or wherever they were working. I just want to acknowledge and say hallelujah and well done to the families, cohabitants, and roommates of all these graduates. I think that's the sort of like the unsung heroes of our graduating class. I just imagine the sounds, right? The noises. I just think about movement class alone, right? The sounds and the noises and the stomping. Holy smokes. So anyway, graduates, oh my gosh, let me pivot to you now. This really is your day. It is such an honor to be able to be here with you and to celebrate you. I was thinking about, you know, what do I say to these folks? Many of you I know, many of you I don't. It just feels like the word congratulations is totally insufficient, right? I mean, congratulations also feels like a really 2019 kind of sentiment, like, good for you, congratulations, right? I think about, first of all, let's try to wrap our heads around what you have done. This deep artistic work that requires incredible discipline, focus, commitment, investment, incredible risk-taking, imagination, and the kind of drilling and coming back, making those habits. It is intense stuff, right? That alone is worth something really sizable. But then to wrap our heads around the context of your training, right? 15 months of COVID. Yeah, this is the context. Like I have to tell you, that was the context. 15 months of COVID, a national atmosphere of divisiveness and fear mongering, a uprising against the unending oppression and violence against communities of color, our nonstop struggle as a nation, right? This is our context. This was your context. And I try to wrap my head around that. And then I add that you did all of this on Zoom. You did all of your training on Zoom remotely. And I just think, you know what, folks? We need a deeper kind of ceremonial action than just congratulations. We need something really like, I don't know, like we need to meet in a field somewhere and link arms around a bonfire and like look up at the sky, maybe the night sky, and just howl with triumph, you know, like raise a cry of triumph. That's what you deserve. That's what we should do to acknowledge what you have done over these last 2 years, and in particular over these last 15 months. So I would love for that to happen. If Justin Semino can arrange that to happen for all of us, that we meet in a field at some point in the future and link arms and howl around the bonfire, that would be fantastic. This is what I really want to talk about. I'm not here to talk about hypothetical bonfires, and I'm not here to talk about COVID. I'm here to talk to you in the way that so many of you understand from being in movement class. You know, in movement class, those of you who travel through the movement program, we spend a lot of time reflecting. We spend a lot of time really searching inward and asking ourselves, like, what's really going on in here, right? And I think what I would like to ask you is a kind of provocation, a question. The question starts like this. Over these last 2 years, what has become clearer to you as an artist? What has become really important to you as an artist? Over these last 2 years of intense training and this experience, what has sharpened in you or been uncovered in you? And what I mean by that is not just like what is clearer about your work as an actor, what you have learned as an actor, how you can apply technique and tools and skills, because that stuff is just gold. I think that's the whole that's the whole kit and caboodle, right? But I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, in terms of your core intentionality and in your humanity, what were things that you sort of suspected before you arrived to this 2-year training program? Instincts you had, thoughts you had, and now those things are so clear to you. They have been confirmed. They have grown to such importance and clarity for you. It's more of like a personal global question that I want you to reflect on. We're celebrating you as actors right now, but you are not only actors, you are complex creatures, all of you, complex. And those complexities and your willingness to be aware and inclusive of those intersections and those complexities, those are going to hugely influence and inform who you will be as actors and as theater makers and as collaborators. And I think it means that you continually seek and remind yourself what is important to you. So as you sit and take in this moment of accomplishment, what a mammoth accomplishment, I invite you to reflect on that. You know, you are entering a field at a time, this field, at a time of disruption and interrogation. You are living through a paradigm shift. We are all living through a paradigm shift. I know it's hard to really think of it that way because we're living it. You are living it. And actually, you are so well equipped to lead us all into the next phase of that shift, right? This shift is long overdue. Don't get me wrong. And there are forces that are working to combat these changes. And there are forces that are working to prevent this shift from happening. And this isn't just about COVID. It is actually because theater makers who are just a few years ahead of you in their trajectory are challenging the power structures and the privileged legacies of theater making and filmmaking. And that is happening on Broadway, off Broadway, regionally across our country. American theaters and performing venues are finally looking at the narratives and the representative bodies and voices and creative partners that they have so long cultivated and are beginning to actively, and in some cases even radically, create a more inclusive artistic space for what gets seen and what gets funded. You will be a part of the next phase of that. You are so well equipped to be a part of the next phase of that. We are seeing dysfunctional practices in filmmaking around power structures and appropriation and casting and depictions of embodied intimacy, as well as notions of sustainable mental health initiatives and really challenging those things. Those things are being challenged and torn down and called out, and new practices are emerging. And those practices will continue to emerge with your leadership in the field as you continually to identify what is important to you. As you stay connected to what is important to you and what is clear, find a way to keep being a part of that shift. Now, I think it's not unusual as you wrap up this 2 years of training and you think, well, I've been training for these 2 years and now I'm at this threshold. And that threshold can feel a little bit like you've just stepped up to a starting line at a race, right? And it's like tomorrow, not today, today's a day for celebration and basking and really soaking up the love, but that tomorrow the starter's pistol is gonna go off and you're feeling pressure and enthusiasm to wanna get started, right? I think that's totally normal. But I think this notion of it being some sort of a race, or that tomorrow it starts, or that you're competing with other people, I think that's an illusion. And I think the idea that you're beginning to compete in a race, like a sprint or a marathon, that notion only reinforces that you're running in someone else's race, in the structure of someone else's competition, someone else's sprint. And that race has rules that were created by other people. And that race has defined lanes that they want you to stay in that were not created by you. as much as you are eager to get started, and we want you to get started, and to fully engage in the next leg of your journey, I invite you to not see yourself as running in someone else's race. I invite you to imagine that the next leg of your journey will be developed by you and your collaborators, the people who are surrounded by you in this Zoom grid right now. They will share a space with you always as a future collaborator, as a current collaborator. And I think that's incredibly important. Take full ownership, graduates, of the next leg of your journey. Advocate for what is important. Advocate for what is important to you, and advocate to what is important to your collaborators and your peers and your partners. Continue to be unafraid and unapologetic about calling out things that we have all inherited that need to continue shifting. I will close by saying, I'm going to say it. I said I wasn't going to say it, but now I'm going to say it. Congratulations. Congratulations on this incredible achievement. I'm going to initiate one more silent Zoom. Oh, look, they beat me to it. Silent Zoom applause. Silent Zoom applause. And I'm going to hand it back to someone who's in charge. Maybe Terry, maybe Justin. Otherwise, I'm going to start vamping. And those students who are my students know that's never works out very well. Terry, Justin, someone want to sign off.
Thank you, Nate. What an amazing speech. I found myself wishing that I was your student in that moment.
Thanks, Terry. And I have felt the same way.
I wish you were your student as well. The only thing I was surprised by that there was no soundtrack. You pick amazing songs.
Oh, I had so many plans. I had a whole movement improvisation ready to go, and I thought, oh, it's not. I know, Miko. I'm sorry. That would have been great. Okay, thank you. I'm going to say goodbye.
Thanks, Nate. That was great. So beautiful. What an honor. What a great faculty we have. So next, we're going to have some student speeches, and I'm going to introduce Kendrick Merdani, who's going to introduce our next student speaker. Kendrick, are you here? Great. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a beautiful afternoon it is. I love seeing all your amazing faces. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me an absolute pleasure to introduce to you one of the two valedictorians that you, the student body, have selected for this year, Ms. KiYonna Carr.
Whoa. Oh yeah. Woo.
Wow, I'm already nervous. All right, good afternoon. I am honored that my classmates selected me to speak today. I have spent these last weeks digging for words to express the magnitude of what we've been through together and individually. It's been incredibly difficult. And I start by sharing what this has meant to me personally in the hopes that it shows how deeply this program has shaped up each of us who are graduating. My story is an example of what this did for all of us. Because in this process of becoming an actor, we have to find ourselves. You don't think about it at first, but it makes sense. You can't be constrained or limited by your conditioning. The only way you can be free to fully explore a role is if you yourself are free. Well, I grew up in the hood where everyone happened to be Black, but I went to private school in an upscale, predominantly white neighborhood where I was one of the few Black faces, and dare I say it, the poorest. My story isn't especially unique, but the stigmas I carried as a child definitely felt all my own. At the age of 5, I already knew that I dressed differently, talked differently, lived differently, and was just plain different. I also knew I didn't want to stand out any more than I already had to. So began the long, slow process of meticulously crafting and molding myself into the perfect person. If I was perfect in every other way, no one would pay attention to the ways in which I was different. All I had to do was follow the formula, but no missteps. So I got straight A's, I went to Stanford, I got a job in tech, I turned it into a promising career, but what I never told anyone was when I watched a good TV or a movie, I walked away wishing I was in it. I told myself that's how everyone feels when they watch something they love. And of course, they print out scenes and practice them on their own in their room. And of course, they record themselves sometimes and take director's notes and try other takes, of course. So when I came to New York for what was supposed to be 6 months, I dared myself to try things I've always wanted to try, like take an acting class. It wasn't catching the acting bug for me. It was like the first time you experienced all-consuming love, finding your soulmate when you didn't even think soulmates existed. I know it's a bit dramatic. I am an actor, but it's honestly how I feel. I had this desire in me to act, and I had been shoving it down every day for so long. And then one day, I just lifted the weight and let it free. It was indescribable, but it was also terrifying. But you're too old to start this now. What about money? What about your career? You went to Stanford. What about everything your mother sacrificed to get you here? What makes you think you can do this? Are you even good enough? Do you even know how many people fail? If you get off this path, you will fail. So I just told myself it was for fun. That's where I was when I entered TK Studio. And I hope it's easier to understand the importance of a place that wants you to break down that mold you've crafted, that wants to see your differences, a place that not only allows you to be a mess, but tell you it's beautiful. You don't have to, a place that tells you you don't have to adhere to what's acceptable, that who you are and all that you are is enough. So yes, TK helped develop our acting skills, but in the process, it gave us so much more. This studio gave us space to find out who we are, even if we didn't always like what we found, and challenged us to break down our own self-imposed limits, to become actors and have confidence in that. People outside of us may not know how much courage, determination, and hard work it takes just to be able to say, I am an actor. TK gave that to us. I look back on our experience together and I look at how much we have grown as artists. Think back on your first ever repetition and how awkward it felt, how we suffered too much or deflected everything. Then look at what we just did with our final scenes. Regardless of how you felt it went, there is no denying that we are leap years from where we started. You wouldn't believe the sheer amount of stress and panic we felt when we had to pick an activity for class. Is it the right level of difficulty? Is there a standard of perfection? Now looking back, that was nothing compared to devising entire scenes out of nursery rhymes, okay? And these were not small productions. We dealt with everything from rape, death, even affairs, and we had casts of upwards of 5 people, and we did this all in days. It doesn't matter where you think you've ended up. Each of us have come so far, and we are standing here 2 years later and through a pandemic. We did our entire second year virtually. Our class was especially hesitant on how this would work. How could we maintain contact through a screen and get everything out of this program? It is a testament to our determination and our work ethic to see what we brought despite our doubts, to push through them, to continue to show up when it's hard for a lot of people to even get out of bed during a pandemic, to do your classwork on top of maintaining day jobs, or on top of having the stress of losing your job and having to find another one, dealing with sick loved ones, with social injustices and more. And we were there for one another. Some of us literally, physically here, Alexi. But beyond that, Kendrick may not know this, but during breaks or after class, we would text each other. Great job, amazing work. You'll get it next time, keep going. Just encouraging each other. We were there for the highs and the lows. Oftentimes after class, one of us would call someone just to vent or unburden all the insecurities that come up during this process. We would text to check in or see how someone was doing. Our WhatsApp group kept us connected when we couldn't be together. Even those who started this journey with us but aren't graduating are still with us today, supporting us. We grew as artists, individuals, and as a class. Kendrick, you created a classroom full of support, encouragement, and trust, which we felt even virtually. You gave us room to take risks and push boundaries, but you also helped us build a community that will carry us beyond this program. Our work, our bond, our love for acting are all a reflection of the heart and passion you brought to class every day. Thank you doesn't seem like enough, but no, it is said with as much weight as those words can possibly carry. To all of our movement teachers, Hana, Mac, Julia, and Nate, thank you for teaching us that the uniqueness of our shapes and the ways in which we move are beautiful. Matthew, thank you for literally helping us find our voices. I didn't realize how much of myself I had lost until I heard my own sound for the first time in years. It was not altered to fit the world around me. It was raw, guttural, and just me. Pandora, thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge, which has given us confidence to be able to do this work and an actual belief that we can bring life to any sort of text. And to the rest of the amazing faculty outside of our core program, and there are too many to name and I'm already probably running out of time, but don't think that your impact is any less. You have given us a repertoire of techniques from Chekhov to clowning. You have given us space to play. You have challenged us, dared us to make mistakes. You have supported us as we work through our own pitfalls. It has been an honor to learn from each of you. And to Terry, I didn't get a chance to study under you, but thank you for giving us the studio, the space, the faculty, and the curriculum to truly be artists, to explore as artists, and to push ourselves to excellence within our craft and not perfection, and it's a distinction I've learned. Also, to Kristen and Justin, you keep this place running. Thank you for being so patient with all of our many questions and requests. Lastly, to the people that are here who have supported us through these years. I called my mother countless times to test out characters, and my father was always there to answer whenever I had questions about a script. This is hard work, inside and out. Support from friends and family goes a long way in carrying us through, so please don't stop. I want to end with a few words to my fellow classmates and graduates. Right now, we are filled with a mixture of emotions: excitement, sadness, gratitude, joy, but for some of us also fear. I know these last few weeks I've been hearing from a dear old friend of mine called doubt more and more. I keep hearing one question as it grows louder and louder: are you good enough? But then I ask myself, what is enough? Artists don't have a finite measurement to determine enough. Even still, after a painter sells one painting, they don't say, yeah, now the rest of my paintings are guaranteed to be perfect and great, because every painting starts anew. It's the same for us. Every role, every step is a new challenge. Enough happened the day we decided to act, the day we committed to this path. That was and always will be enough. Whether or not you're ready to audition or whether or not you get a part does not determine it. If you're not ready today, doesn't mean you won't be ready tomorrow. And if you don't get a part, doesn't mean you won't get the next one. It just wasn't meant for that day on your journey, and it does not determine your future. We keep working and doing what we love, and that's enough. That's what TK taught us. Now let's just go do this. Congratulations, TK class of 2021. Our journey continues on, and we're ready for it. Thank you.
Whoa!
Wow. Wow. So beautiful. Thank you, KiYonna. What a beautiful, beautiful speech you just made for all of us. Oh my goodness. Thank you. We have another speaker who apparently has a different name on her Zoom identity because I saw in the chat someone named Hana saying, "So proud of you, Hana." And I have a feeling that might not be Hana, but maybe her sister or somebody else. Anyway, you know, Hana, I'm not even sure I know how to pronounce your last name. I'm going to try, and then if I'm incorrect, will you correct me, please? Okay. So this is one of my students. She's a wonderful light in her class. She's full of life. She's not afraid of emotion. She's got a huge heart and is really, I'm not surprised that she was the one who was selected by her classmates to represent them, because she represents the work with such humanity and passion and joy. So here's my attempt at saying your name. From London right now, I'd like to welcome and introduce you all to Hana Chamoun.
Wow, Terry, that was like so perfect.
Really?
I had to do a last minute switch with my cousin laptop and I forgot to change my name. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Terry, for that beautiful introduction. Thank you, our incredible staff, for organizing such a great event. And thank you, beloved classmates, for selecting KiYonna and I to be your class speakers for our 2021 graduation. I'm filled with love and gratitude to be participating today in such a special way. When I started this program a year and a half ago, I never would have thought I'd end up addressing my cohort at our graduation ceremony, let alone doing it over Zoom from another country in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. We have come very far. This past year and a half has been surreal and challenging, to say the least, but it has also been one of the most fulfilling years of my life. Describing my experiences at the studio and all the lessons I have learned here will take me a lot more time than I have. So I want to focus on one of the most valuable things I have learned here: the value of truthful and compassionate human connection. I remember when my journey at TKS began. It was a chilly November morning, the first time I walked through those gray doors in the middle of that long hallway at Industry City. I had heard about Terry from different colleagues and had finally decided to schedule a coaching session with him for an upcoming guest star TV show role. Running late, of course, I stumbled through those gray doors into a spacious, tastefully designed and brightly lit room. Fumbling to collect myself, I approached the front desk where I was greeted by Kristen's warm and friendly demeanor. She seemed sure of herself, yet had a welcoming and kind energy about her. It instantly made me feel at ease and gave me the sense I am safe here. I had been craving that feeling ever since I moved to New York 4 years prior. I had moved here from Lebanon, where I grew up, to pursue my dream of becoming an actor. I had trained at a few studios throughout the city and had my fair share of work, but I always felt there was something missing. Perhaps it was more kindness or a safe space to nurture the artist inside me in this fast, transactional, and result-oriented industry. Whatever it was that was missing, I had stopped actively looking and was anxiously drifting deep in the trenches of New York's cutthroat film and theater industries. After a brief wait on a bench in the lounge under a wall filled with ornate wooden theater masks, Kristen ushered me into an empty rehearsal room with 2 folding chairs and a table. I made myself comfortable and Terry walked in a few seconds later. During our coaching session, I experienced a rush of feelings. I was intimidated by his skill and thrilled by his freedom with the work. In 1 hour, we analyzed the scenes and tried out different choices. It was a lively and joyful artistic collaboration. I left our session with a burning desire for more and an invitation from Terry to train at the studio. At the time, I was already a working actor, i.e. struggling actor. I was constantly auditioning and taking classes, doing what I thought was everything I could do to move my career forward. The last thing on my mind was going back to full-time school. 1 week later, I found myself back at TKS for the conservatory program interview with Terry. That day, I figured out what it was I had been missing. Sitting on that comfortable armchair in his cozy office, I cried a lot. I cried because he asked me questions that made me feel open and vulnerable. I had so much to say about my grievances in the industry and my love for the work, that it felt like floodgates opening up inside me as my heart seized the opportunity to connect. He listened with care, and it felt more like a therapy session than an interview. By simply paying attention and seeing me, Terry gave me a gift, perhaps without realizing the potent effect it had on me. That gift has grown in every class I've had with him, and it has been invaluable to unlocking my inner freedom and deepening the ability to connect with myself and with others around me. It is easy to be swept up and overwhelmed by the demands of the industry and to lose yourself in it if you don't have a strong sense of who you are as a person and an artist. Training at the studio has allowed me to cultivate a strong, solid sense of myself and to trust that what I have to offer is good enough. The individualized care and support from my teachers at the studio has been vital. In Matt's voice class, I have unleashed thrilling possibilities for my natural voice and have reclaimed a love for my foreign accent. In Mac and Kana's movement class, I have reconnected with my innate wildness and let go of my need to get it right. In Pandora's script analysis class, I've learned the importance of humility in putting the work before myself and honoring the playwright and the world that they have created. In Terry's acting class, I was inspired every day by my classmates' courage to open their hearts and let us in as they navigated the swamplands of their inner worlds, and in awe of their resilience to come back and do it again the next day. We saw each other and we held each other through it all. Most importantly, we held space for the messiness that comes with that vulnerability. We learned to recognize the very imperfect humanity in us all, that tendency to act defensively when triggered. Together, we developed the self-awareness to see our own and others' flaws and the courage to own up to them and confront them fearlessly. It has been so rewarding to be part of an artistic community that values a holistic connection within and between every artist it nurtures. There was, however, one integral part of me that was kept in the shadows until the very last month of school. Being Palestinian has always defined me, but it has weighed heavy on my heart. Perhaps I consciously did not expose that part of me as intensely as I used to in the past, because I am exhausted by having to explain my identity, having to justify and defend such a basic truth in my heart, having to be afraid to re-experience the pain of invalidation again and again. In this country, that truth is fraught and controversial in the eyes of many Americans who do not know or want to know the truth. It is often not welcome at the institutions and communities I have been a part of here. So I have learned to to keep it on the back burner, although it is one of the strongest fires inside me. Much like how people of color in this country have been emotionally drained by having to justify their struggle and their right to dignity and equality. This is why, when the protests erupted for Black Lives last year, I connected to the movement on a visceral and instinctive level, experiencing feelings of rage and catharsis, similar to how I have felt this past month during the most recent round of violence on Gaza and many times before. What was different this time, however, was the space that was held to acknowledge what was happening. During those 11 days of war on Gaza, Terry and my classmates began every class by checking in, asking me to openly share what I was feeling without having to defend or justify. That ongoing support, engagement, and care from my TKS community has narrowed the gap that I usually experience when my heart is split between the turmoil back home and the apathy in this country. Despite the tremendous work that still needs to be done, this connection I now have has brought me a step closer to myself and to the people I care about. I want to end with a quote by one of my favorite theater characters, Blanche Dubois. Halfway through the play, she shares with Mitch a distressing memory that leaves her exposed and vulnerable. Mitch comforts and embraces her tenderly. Then she says, "Sometimes there is God so quickly." Never doubt the power of real human connection. It has given me strength and clarity in times of need and has served as a vehicle into others' hearts and into my own. Congratulations for a beautiful year of Zoom laughter and tears. I wish you all so much joy as you carry on with your journeys into the world. I love you all. Thank you very much.
So beautiful. Thank you, Hana, for those beautiful and touching words. This is a deep experience today. Thank you. So we now have our final speaker. I'm going to read his bio. This is Stevie Walker-Webb. When I first met Stevie to talk about this, he actually lives a few blocks from me, we discovered, and the first thing he said was that he always likes to begin his Zoom meetings with, I think, 90 seconds of silence and breathing. And he put a timer on, and we did that on Zoom. And I was there like, okay, this guy's heavy. And it worked. It settled me so beautifully. So I'm honored to have Stevie Walker-Webb. This is some words about what he's been doing in the world. Stevie is an Obie award-winning director, playwright, and cultural worker. That's a great title. Who believes in the transformational power of art. As a survivor of poverty and the associative violence that comes with growing up Black and poor in America, he knows how liberating and necessary it is to create. He's a 2050 Fellow of the New York Theater Workshop and a recipient of the Princess Grace Award for Theater, as well as the Lilly Award in honor of Lorraine Hansberry, awarded by the Dramatists Guild of America. He served as the founding artistic director of the Jubilee Theater and has created art and theater in Madagascar, South Africa, Mexico, and across America. He's worked as the outreach coordinator for Theater of the Oppressed, NYC, and holds an MFA from the New School and a BS in Sociology from the University of North Texas. His work has been produced by the Public Theater, American Civil Liberties Union, Jag Productions, Cherry Lane, Zara Aina, La Mama, The New Group, and Woolly Mammoth. And for more information about Stevie, visit steviewalkerwebb.com. It is my honor and distinct privilege to welcome Stevie Walker-Webb. Thank you so much, Stevie.
Wow. Thank you for having me here and for inviting me. I'm gonna do exactly what I did before, Terry. When we got to get to know each other a little bit, I want to start with 90 seconds of just intentional breathing. Nate was talking about wanting to be around a bonfire and wanting to keen up into the heavens, to lift a sound. That would be the only thing that would really kind of viscerally get at the level of triumph and victory that this moment is for y'all. And in Tibetan, I'm a very woo-woo person. I was raised Christian. I practice Buddhist philosophies, and I've kind of assembled my own religion. But there's this sound, har, H-A-R, which is in Tibetan mantra. It's thought to when you kind of summon the sound har, that you bring it up from your sacral, or bring it up from your diaphragm, the lower portion of your diaphragm, and that it can actually ignite the life force within you. And so what I want to do for this 90 seconds is I want us to kind of use our breath as life force, use our breath as fire to ignite whatever it is that needs to be ignited in you in this moment, whatever it is that needs to be witnessed in you in this moment. So just use your breath as gratitude, use your breath as fire, as salutation. Maybe you want to send your breath down to the bottom of your feet to say, hey, feet, I see you. You support me. You've supported me these last 2 years. You've carried me. You've carried all the weight of all the lives of all the souls that I've embodied. Maybe you want to send your breath to your shoulders so they can drop down and be relaxed. Or send your breath right there to your heart chakra so that it can be, you can witness how full and how alive it is in this moment. But just for 90 seconds, close your eyes and use your breath and travel down your body and just connect with yourself. And in doing so, we'll be connected to each other. I'm gonna start the timer. Just before we open our eyes, let's take a collective breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more deep breath in through the nose. And out through the mouth. And you can look down first to open your eyes. Honestly, like, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Thank the whole TK Studios family. Thank you, Justin. You're like my brother. And to all the graduates, thank y'all for inviting me to be a part of this moment. I'm gonna be reading off some notes here because I like to ramble a lot and I wanna be mindful of my time and just clear about what I share. I wanna acknowledge that you are standing on the precipice of a new journey, and I'm honored and humbly present that you have invited me to be here with you in this moment of triumph, but also uncertainty. In honor of all that is and all that we are, I just want to take another second just to acknowledge how massive and how eternal your spirit is in this moment. And just to take some of the pressure off of myself, I'm gonna go ahead and confess that I'm not going to say anything new to you in these next like 7 or 8 minutes. But I hope that what I say will affirm and ignite or remind you of those old forever new things, the things that no matter how many times you hear them, they always hold power. I hope that you will use my words and this moment as a kind of talisman, something you can return to or grab onto or lean on as you go on your way. I want to acknowledge that the wisdom of my words are not exclusively my own, but rather they are pieces of wisdom that I've sewn together like a patchwork quilt. These words hold truths germinated some 400 years ago when my earliest ancestor was brought here. These words were passed down from my mother's 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 mother and my father's 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 father, and so on and so forth, until somehow through meditation and stillness and scrapes and bumps and victories and triumphs and momentary failures, they have survived and been delivered to me to be shared with you on this day. I hope that you will find something in the residue of these words that you can apply forward and maybe pass them on as well. Today, I want to talk a little bit about my two closest friends, my critic and my creator. Because getting to know your critic and your creator is going to be the thing that's going to get you through every moment in your life and every moment in your career, intimately becoming deeply connected, invested, and just close to the spirit of your critic and the spirit of your creator. But first I want to talk about the almost cuss, the person I don't like, the critic, the one that challenges me, the one that I don't always want to roll with me. I don't want him shotgun in the car when I'm going to an audition or when I'm going to meet someone for the first time or when I'm walking into a difficult conversation with my partner. I don't want my critic there, but he's always there. So I want to talk a little bit about him, and I want you to take a moment to visualize your critic in this moment. So go ahead and close your eyes just for another second. And I want you to imagine what your critic looks like. What is that voice that makes you small, that makes you fearful, that makes you uncertain of your inner greatness? Imagine that person. Do they look like you? Is it you? But is it of a different hue or a different color? Or is it you on a bad hair day? Is it you with sweaty palms? Is it you? Is it 7th grade you that's a little bit chubby, or is it you when your complexion is not just how you want it to be? What does your critic look like? What does your critic sound like? Is it that voice that tells you, you didn't give it your all. You should have got up a little bit, earlier because it takes you all day. You know, you shouldn't have answered that phone because that threw you off. You were too emotive. You were giving too much of your emotion. You were projecting onto the character. You know, you don't really look the part for this, so there's no way that they're gonna cast you for this. You know, what does your critic sound like? No one wants to hear you. Your voice is to this or to that. Your skin is to this or to that. Your nose is to this or to that. Your waist is to this or to that. Critic is always has an unsolicited opinion. It wants to be the first to speak, and it always wants to be the loudest. Critic can't help himself. He always wants to speak, and he always speaks from a deficit perspective. Your critic is contaminated and often influenced by the thoughts and feelings of the world. Your critic is that cynical voice that's forever evaluating your performance. Critic will try to walk into the audition rooms with you, and critic will always be waiting in the hallway the minute you leave that rehearsal or exit stage left. Critic is the voice that disrupts your mood and wakes you up out of your sleep. We all know critic, but in our culture, we kind of created this thing where we tell ourselves, don't beat yourself up, don't beat yourself up, silence your critic, silence your critic. But I'm here to tell you that you'll never ever be able to really get that critic to be quiet. You'll never really be able to push that critic away, partially because the critic is not all bad. Critic can sometimes be that still quiet voice that's telling you that there is a need to shift gears or to change your approach or to change the way that you're conversing in a relationship. Despite all of the noise and the judgmental nonsense, critic also holds some objective truths, some productive insight that can point you forward. But we must always be sensitive to the fact that we must filter all of that crap through to mine for the simple wisdom, the singular truth that lies beneath all the ego abuse that the critic will try to put on you. And I found that if I try to silence my critic, when I try to tell my critic to be quiet, it just gets louder. It becomes more belligerent. It becomes more determined to speak to me. It's like a child throwing a tantrum. It's like, I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen to me now. So I've learned that I needed to build a kind of metaphysical playpen for my critic, a safe space for my critic to rail. And in this place, this metaphysical playpen, my critic is allowed to say whatever he wants to say to me. He's allowed to use whatever tactics he wants to use to try to undermine my self-value, my self-worth. I've learned that I have to give him that space. And I have to give him that space and be quiet while he's speaking to me. That I have to be still so that I can get to stillness. And that first still is S-T-E-E-L, still. I have to be hard. I have to position myself. I have to take up my posture and allow myself to kind of go under that suffering or that bludgeoning of the spirit. And I have to silence that thing that says, oh, don't beat yourself up. I need to make space for that so that I can get on with it, the rest of it. And so I give my critic that space. And I don't argue with my critic. I don't tell my critic he's right or wrong. I don't agree. I just notate the things that he's saying to me. I note the things that he's saying to me, and I'm S-T-E-L, still. And it's something, it's a muscle that I've had to learn. And I have so much respect for all of you who are actors who choose that particular artist path, because there's a kind of tightening you that can undergo all kinds of rejection and still get up and say, but I'm still me, I'm still worthy, I'm still valuable, I still have a gift, I still have something I want to put into the world, which is, I think there's no other profession on the face of this planet in the history of humanity that is as adept at that skill as the actor. And so I hope that this thing that I'm talking about, the critic and being still, being hard, helps you. So when I'm still, when I'm S-T-E-L still, my critic is talking to me, saying all these things, and I'm noting. I don't fight with him. I let him speak. I let him have his say. and I begin to sift in my being still through the things that are unnecessary, that are driven by ego, that are contaminants from the outside world, that are contaminants from my, my childhood or an experience that I had that wasn't productive. I sift all that out and I just continue to be still. When the critic is done throwing his tantrum, eventually I get to the second stillness, the STILL, still. And it's in that stillness, after I've allowed my critic to bludgeon me a bit, and I sifted through and said, oh, this shit I don't need, but this stuff, these few things that, I can improve a little bit there. Maybe I can get up a little bit earlier, or maybe I should hold on to my morning ritual before I go out of my house, or maybe I could have did that a little bit better. I take the few things that he's saying, and I take them into the next level of stillness, and that is where I meet my creator. If you were to put your hand over your heart right now and get real still, you would feel that creative spirit in you, your heart pumping blood, rhythmic, your heart sending life, animating you, that creative spirit inside of you. It's literally your creative force. It's creating the entire universe as you experience it right now. And what I love about the creator is that the creator is full of grace. My creative spirit is full of grace. It empathizes. The creator doesn't beat me down when I slip or when I trip or when I fumble, because the creator has compassion. The creator sees everything through the prism of this present moment. So there's always room for error, for grace. The creator is the thing that animates, that gets me up when my critic wants to hold me down. When my creator is too busy making, too busy going through the experience of life to judge me or to judge my errors. And if you don't take anything away from what I'm saying today, and like I said, these are old forever new things. I hope that you will give yourself the space to get to know your critic, learn his or her voice better than any other critic. I've gotten reviews from the Times, reviews from, LA Times, whatever, the Post. None of those matter as much as the reviews that I give myself. None of those matter as much as me being able to get still and listen to myself, give my critic the space to speak, and then make him be quiet so that the creator can speak. And my creator is always telling me to go forward. My creator is never worried about my failures, because my creator always knows there's another opportunity, there's another rehearsal, there's another day just around the corner. I want you to turn to your neighbor. And this is the last thing that I'll say, and then I'll be done. If you have a neighbor, say it to your neighbor. If you don't have a neighbor, say it to yourself. Let yourself say this: I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit. Say it again. This is Queen Erykah Badu. Turn to your neighbor and say to your neighbor, I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit. You get to be sensitive about your work, about your life, about your passion. And when your critic speaks, let your critic speak. Be sensitive, break open, allow it to say what it wants to say, and get still enough to get to your creator. And when you get to the creator will heal you every single time. Congratulations to you. I hope that that there was something in there that you could use. And again, thank you so much for letting me be here with you in this moment. God bless.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Woo. Real.
So beautiful. I'm feeling the vibration in my body. I hope you all are too. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. My son's listening to this, my 7-year-old. He may be saying this too. Wow. It's good, right? It's good stuff. Good artist food. So, I'm going to say a few words, and then I'm going to introduce Kendrick, and Kendrick's going to read the names of his class, and then I'm going to read the names of my class. and we'll talk about how we're going to do that. So, first of all, just how amazing is it that you made it? You made it through. We made it through. And today marks a very special achievement. A graduation is always a special moment, but this one feels exponentially more given what you all bravely decided to do, which was when we faced the fork in the road created by this pandemic. You chose the one not less traveled, but up to that point, completely untraveled. And you all came along for a ride that we had no idea would even work, much less work as well as it actually did. And that is a tribute to your faith in yourselves and in the work and the power of art. You are now part of a very special brotherhood and sisterhood. I mean, there are only so many people in the world who have ever finished this beautiful, soulful 2-year Meisner training as given to us by Sanford Meisner, and then in my lineage passed down to me by Bill Esper, his wife Suzanne Esper, and Maggie Flanagan, and now you and Joel Rooks, and now you join the ranks of that special group who are part of this rich lineage. Most of your teachers here at the studio have also done this training, and all of us are so happy and excited to welcome you to this very special and exclusive group. I'm going to tell you that you're going to remember these years and your classmates and your work with us and with each other will be with you the rest of your life. I still have both beautiful and painful memories of my work when I did this many years ago, my own and those of my classmates. And you remember, I'm going to tell you, the good and the bad, the victories and the embarrassments. You're also part of a community, and we really emphasize community at the studio. And you are going to have friends who have seen you at your most emotionally naked, right? All right. You're going to have friends from these years for the rest of your life. Maybe not everybody from your class, but the important relationships for each of you will remain and sustain you. And I urge you to lean on those friends because you're going to need them. I want to recognize a few people before we read all your names. Normally, we'd be doing this in person, and we'd give you a diploma and a little gift, and I would give you a hug, and Kendrick would give his students a hug. We're going to email you a digital diploma, and we'll somehow find a time and a space for the bestowing of some physical gifts and embraces when we can do that together. But really what comes up for me right now is every year is gratitude and respect. Respect for you, graduates, for all your hard work and your generosity to the work, and to each other and to this sacred space of learning and growth. And unspeakable gratitude, firstly to these graduates, and then to their families and friends, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, co-workers, neighbors, and as Nate said, roommates, and pets. We met some pets this year. All of you form a community of support that helps sustain all the work of these beautiful artists, especially in times of trouble, doubt, pain, fear, and despair. We couldn't do this work without the unbelievably incredible faculty that I've been fortunate enough to assemble at this studio. Kendrick Merdani, Matthew Dudley, Nate Flower, Kana Sato, Julia Crockett, McKeon Bauman, Katie Flayhive, Allison Brzezinski, Pandora Scooter, Andy Roth, David Cady, Shelley Wyant, David Brimmer, Julie Foe, Heather Rashi, Heather Peterson, Victor Peterson, Bethany Caputo, Belinda Mello, Peter Lewis, Annie McGovern, Celestine Ray, and Carolyn McCandlish. The backbone of this studio is my superhuman staff, who have been with me throughout this pandemic and before, and we couldn't have done it without these amazing human beings. So that is Kristen Brown, Justin Semino, yes, clap, clap, throw confetti, Sebastian Nyman Agdur, and Emily Flynn. I also want to thank Gabrielle Bones for her portraits, for when we've had these notable students, which we have a couple times a year, which she somehow found a way to make beautiful images to celebrate them on Zoom. All these people every day make this studio excellent, and that is what we really believe in: passion, commitment, and excellence. They put together this event, numerous open houses, actor talks, holiday parties. We had a holiday party on Zoom this year. They answer the phone and every email and every text with cheerful, efficient professionalism. Basically, our attitude is, we can help you with that. If someone calls and says they want to rent a kangaroo, we can help you with that, right? And they do everything they can, Hana alluded to it, to make everyone feel welcome and special and important and respected, and to truly make this your artistic home. It is not easy to make this place function as well as it does. It looks like it really operates without a hiccup, but there's amazing, massive cleaning up ceremonies that are going on all the time, and my staff does that with exceptional grace and style. I want to thank my parents, my late father, and my 93-year-old mother, who took me to the theater when I was a kid and really kindled the flame inside me to love this beautiful art form and love storytelling right from the very beginning. And my sister, who was part of that as well. My dear wife, Sinead, and our beautiful son, Henry. They sustain me every day, every day. That's one thing I'm going to miss when we go back in person, is not spending as much time with them, because I love the commute. And we have a lot of meals together. And when Henry would come in, when he comes back from school, and burst into class and give me a hug, which I think all of you saw, that was cool. We'll find a way to do it. They give me the love and support and belief in myself that is the fuel to come to work every day and to do our work together. And to all the ancestors, what Stevie was talking about, my father's father's father and mother's mother's mother, and I'm looking here in my office and all these plays and books, and oh my goodness, there's so many people whose shoulders we're all standing on, and I'm grateful to them all. To the first storyteller, the first actor. Bill Esper, you know, there are a lot of Meisner teachers. Meisner's really hip right now. It's popular. When I studied, I didn't know anything about it. I knew about Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg. They were still alive, Uta Hagen. Somehow I hadn't heard about Meisner until I saw a Meisner actor, and my mind was blown, and I found Bill. But there are a lot of Meisner teachers, and most of them, I mean, I'm sure they're fine, but most of them have not been trained to teach, right? Most of them took a class from somebody, had a lot of notes, and you can get Bill Esper's book and Meisner's book and this guy Larry Silverberg's book, and you know, it seems pretty easy. You know, you have a flowered shirt, I have a flowered shirt, you have a flowered shirt, fuck you. but to actually be trained to teach it, which is what Meisner wanted, and he chose students, including Bill Esper, to shadow him and learn how to teach through observation.
No.
How do you do? Was something I was fortunate enough to do, and really great to pass it on to all of you. So, and Bill was at Rutgers. That's where Nate studied with him, and those MFA programs would have a kind of a showcase every year. Yale, Juilliard, NYU, Rutgers. And all the casting directors and agents and managers would come and sort of shop for talent. And the greatest compliment that Bill said he ever got was when someone came up to him, and Juilliard people were there, NYU, Yale, Rutgers, and he said, you know, I can always tell a Juilliard actor, and I can always tell a Yale actor, and they're obviously really talented because it's really hard to get in, and they're very well trained. But there's something about them that sometimes feels like it's a kind of actor. And I never feel that with your actors. I always feel that I'm really just seeing really unique people who know how to act. And Bill was so proud of that compliment. And he would say that the best training releases the unique personality of each of the artists that it's training. And I'm really hopeful about the future for all of you. Sometimes it feels like, well, is there going to be room for me? There's absolutely room for you. There's room for you because there's no one else like you. And therefore, if this is what you want to do, then go do it. And it will happen. I am sure of that, because no one else can do exactly what you can do. We could have 10 people from this class play Hamlet, and it would honor Shakespeare, but it would also honor each of those unique artists. And that's what you have to offer, and that's really the gift of this training, and I think what we try to cultivate here. So, we're going to read some names. Now, I'm about to introduce Kendrick. Let me tell you, as each person's name is called, and you're going to pop your videos on and off, right? We're going to get that really tight. Although I see a lot of group things here, so that'll be cool. I invite all of you who know all these people to call to mind each person. Just kind of think about, oh, Joe. Who's Joe? Their qualities, their essence, what you associate with them, maybe some memories, their talent, their gifts, their impact on you, right? Rather than just, yay, Joe. It's like, who is Joe? Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay, so Kendrick Merdani, who I'm about to introduce, who I am introducing right now, was a wonderful student of mine. When he first studied with me, man, at the Esper studio, he was so intense. So intense. A little scary, right? Super hardcore, worked very hard, and had an amazing work ethic, and became someone I became so fond of. And he was the first person in summer of 2014, when the idea and the decision to start the studio was clear inside me, that I told. And he kept that secret and joined me to train, and has become just a wonderful teacher that I'm so honored to work together with, and feel that you all who studied with Kendrick are so fortunate. He's a very, very special human being and a special artist. So without further ado, please, everyone, turn off your video. And Kendrick, I welcome you to initiate these graduates of yours, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Terry. You touched my heart, and you touched me very much, bringing back those memories of us first meeting that far away. A bit of a funny story how I ended up in Terry's class is that I first met with Bill Esper for my interview. And after telling him about how much I wanted to study at the studio and wanted to become an actor, he writes down on my application TK and says, I have a great teacher in mind. And I didn't know how many teachers were teaching at the studio. I thought it was just Bill. That shows you how naive I was about the studio and Meisner itself. And I said, who the hell is TK, to myself? So I left the meeting a little bit disappointed. However, having entered that class, as you all have entered Terry's class, it was an experience unlike any other. And that's where our bond first began and started to mold into this relationship that is going on nearly 15 years to date. And I cannot be more thrilled and happy and proud to have been alongside you as a student and training to teach, and now teaching alongside you with lots of excitement and huge moments of proudness. I carry that name, the name of the studio, with me wherever I go. Now, enough about that and about me, because this is about you guys. And I want to address you all, graduates and dearest families and members and friends and honored guests and my fellow esteemed colleagues. I wanted to also take a short moment and really say my deepest thank yous and gratitude to both KiYonna and Hana for those amazingly beautiful speeches and heartfelt words. You've touched my heart. I wasn't planning on crying. It's a good thing you didn't see me. So how does one end up following such wonderful speeches? I had a few words written down, so I'm gonna give it my best. I am nervous, I gotta admit. I think I was a little more nervous than I ever was the first time I stepped on stage. And I know a lot of you, but that's not helping the matter right now. So to quote Shakespeare, your humble patience I pray, gently to hear and kindly to judge. I'm honored to be calling your names shortly. But I would also like to take a moment and thank everyone who has been part of your journey so far, everyone who has been part of the support system that these graduates have needed to get to this day, especially during this last year, as all the speakers have mentioned. Thank you. It really does take a village. Okay, so now my dearest graduates, my fellow artists. So that's who you are from this point forward. I promise I will keep this short for you, and I will not go into reminiscing about the life-changing journeys that we went through, the tough times we had, the tears we shed, and the laughter we shared. So here are some pieces of wisdom that, just like the previous speakers, I too hold on closely and have collected through my journey as an actor, a teacher, a partner, and a human being. These are things that have been told to me and I've been reminded about at some point or another. I hope you can take from it what you will. Every single one of you has changed during these times. You have changed and grown in tremendous ways. And I too have changed with you alongside of that. You've taught me patience. You've taught me how to be more compassionate and empathetic than I thought I could be. I am forever grateful for that. You all have a very special spot in my heart. But don't forget that more change is coming and the best is ahead of you. Say that out loud. The best is ahead of you. Will you promise me that you will continue to grow in unforeseen ways? Because even though this is simply the beginning, and I've told my class, this is not the end of something. This is the beginning, and there is more to do, more to learn, more to achieve, because you know what they say to actors, you can always do less. From the time I've spent with you, I know a lot of you have a lot of talents, and you have invested a lot of in your talent these last 2 years. So forget the naysayers, your friends' doubts, and whoever. Don't be afraid to share them with the world. Man, does this world need your talents more than ever? I like to also remind you to give. Give more than you receive. Give more love. Give more care. Patience, gratitude, forgiveness, time. I know some of you might debate me on this and say that, well, maybe the giver might not get the same in return. I don't care. Give nonetheless. You all took a risk in these last 2 years. You took a risk this last year, continuing the pursuit of your dream and passion. And this is probably not new to you, and God knows I didn't invent it, but please continue to take risks. It's what I feel keeps my heart from beating and makes life worth living. Y'all know about the 1,000 failed experiments of Edison. His 1,001 gave us the light bulb. Don't forget that. Here's another thing that I have learned. You will fail. I know it's not easy to hear, but you will fail more than you will succeed. Embrace it. Because if you're not failing at anything, are you actually even trying? I don't know who said this one, but it was very difficult for me to accept for a long time. To get something you never had, you have to do something you've never done. I know sometimes things will go wrong for you, maybe tough. The industry is a beast that cannot be easily soothed. But don't get discouraged. It only takes one, and you might succeed with another blow. If you don't know what you're doing, don't wait to get ready before you start doing it. Oprah said, sometimes we find out what we are supposed to be doing by doing the things we are not supposed to do. So as I'm wrapping this up, I want to invite you to slow down and breathe. Sometimes some of you forget to do that. Take one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, and be present. Moment to moment. We spent the whole 2 years talking about it. I'm going to quote you from a favorite poem of mine by Rudyard Kipling. He says, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. My last wish for you, and my command for you, is that you let love and joy dance their dance in your hearts. Now, I was going to say the words, but I'm willing to take Nate's recommendation. I don't want to wait for Justin to arrange this, so. Congratulations, class of 2021. Without any further ado, I will announce the names of the students from my class. Monique Josette Gabrielle. Next, we have Emily Renee Anderson. Miss Cornice Ray White. Cornice Ray. Mr. Griffin Glick. Where are you, Griffin? I didn't see you. Mr. Austin Leonard. Austin! Tiffany Marie Ratliff. Neil Friedlander.
Nah. Yeah, no. Oh.
Jeffrey R. Camp Jr.
Hey.
Jadana Dufont.
Oh yeah.
Brett Camillo.
Oh, Brett. Do it, Brett. Do it.
Mr. Alexei Bezonat.
Alexei.
Bravo! Bravo! Alexei! My man.
KiYonna Carr.
Congratulations.
Catherine Taylor. And lastly, Gabriela Roja. Terry, I'll hand it back to you. Congratulations, class.
Thank you. Congratulations, Kendrick students. What a great class you are. All right, I got 30 names. We're going to be great with the timing here. Are you ready? Liliana Hogan.
Hello.
Chris Ash. Fantastic. Tuba Imran. Tara Lynn.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl.
Chris Nestor.
That's hysterical.
Robert Richardson Palmer. The first time I've ever said this like this. Dr. Tina Gulati.
Oh shit! She a doctor too. Wow.
Unbelievable. Chano Garcia.
Chano.
Jared Bolland Whitbeck.
Get in my belly.
Also known as Dylan. George Ives.
Georgie! Yeah.
Live from the Sex Palace. Daniel Bonnie.
What? Daniel!
Hana Chamoun.
No!
Chris Yim.
Woo! Come on, Yim! Oh, there we go.
Colorful. Fernando A. Mateo Jr.
No!
And Hal. Joseph William Basquill.
Stuff. Oh, he's so hot. He's so hot.
Dylan J. Murphy.
Yes. Yes.
Fern Hall. Haley Taylor Christ. Marie Rose Baramo. Austin Michael Young.
That's my bro. That's my bro.
Very handsome. Evan Feist.
Yes. Evan, the young one.
Over there.
Rachel Issenberg.
Where Rachel at?
Nicole Catania. Christiana Percentelli.
Christy. Yes.
Miko Vespremi.
Go.
Ian Lawton King. Gabriel Rizdal.
Gabe.
Maya Kavchuk.
Maya.
Look at that furniture. Sophia Castuera.
Mom, turn your camera on.
That's Sophia's mom. Congratulations. And Barti Ramesh.
Artie!
So, will all of you graduates turn your cameras back on again, please? Thank you. That's everybody. And I just have a few last words. Let me organize my... Okay. Okay. So, Justin, am I supposed to have... I have a few more words to say. Am I supposed to have everybody's camera on at this point?
Maybe at the end, audience can come on and cheer.
All right,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so, well, I have a final message for our graduates. Today is not really an end, as Kendrick reminded us. It is a beginning. That's why they call it commencement of your artistic journeys out into the world. I urge you to be proud. It is one of the 7 deadly sins, but I think it's also important to be proud of who you are and what you've accomplished and what you will accomplish. You are the future of this beautiful art form, and as Nate reminded us, everything is breaking down and being reinvented, and you are part of that revolution and will create. And I love what he said about don't be in someone else's lane, create your lane. So excited to see what you're going to do. Make your work and live your lives not out of fear, but out of love. Have faith. It's all going to work out. And go out and make work. I cannot wait to see what you're going to do. I have a message for the friends and family of these graduates. You know, at NYU, I taught there for a long time, and for a while I was an academic advisor. I've talked to my students about this. And for the most part, you know, meaning helping people to choose their academic courses, it's such an all-encompassing program that most people came there to be actors. And so very few of them double majored, because that requires a lot of extra work. If you're a sociology double major, you have to do all their prerequisites as well as all the drama department prerequisites. So very, very few students for many years were double majors. And then in the last 10 or 15 years, a huge amount of students became double majors. And what I learned anecdotally was that the impetus for that shift came from parents. Parents who were frightened of what was going to happen to their children. Parents who, of course, every parent wants to make sure that their kids have a roof over their head and that they're going to eat, right? And the kind of unspoken, you know, ghost in the room, elephant in the room is that, you know, there are a lot of unemployed actors, you know. And so please have a backup plan. So that urge to be a double major and have a backup plan came out of fear. And actors, artists, are really the only profession that I know where if a friend runs into them after a couple years and haven't seen each other, the following will come out of their mouth frequently. Hey, good to see you. Are you still an actor? I mean, they don't say that to dentists. Are you still a dentist? Or architects? But they say it a lot to actors because it has this built-in idea of failure. And I would like to take that away. And therefore, friends and family, we need you to help with that. Love these actors. Love these beautiful souls. Believe in them. I had a girlfriend many years ago whose dad was an orthodontist. And when I met him, like meet the Fockers, you know, he'd say, "Oh, you're an actor. When am I going to see?" I was going to NYU at the time. "When am I going to see you in something? You're going to be in, you know, like The Bold and the Beautiful or some kind of show," right? Because he wanted to make sure that I was going to bring home the bacon. And a lot of people say that. "Oh, you're an actor? Would you have been in anything that I might have seen?" Right? And there's this like call to produce a resume. They don't say that to other folks. "Oh, you're an architect. Any buildings you might have created that I might have seen?" Like, no. But it's often what they say to actors, and then it immediately creates some shame in the actor. Like, "Oh, I actually don't have something to tell you about. I just went to acting school. I'm beginning my career." So please, 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 do not ask these beautiful graduates to prove their legitimacy to you or anybody else. They don't have to. This is their road, and they're on it, and it will take as long as it takes. What they need is your faith and your belief in them. Every actor, every great actor started with a blank resume. Meryl Streep did not come out of her mama with like a resume. So we all have to start somewhere. And that's what's going to happen here. These are very special individuals. They have so many stories to tell. Be proud of them. I'm woo-woo too, Stevie Walker-Webb, and I'm going to read a poem. My wife is Irish. Her last name's O'Donoghue. One of my favorite poets is the late poet John O'Donoghue. And this is a poem called Blessing. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the currach of thought, and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. Congratulations, all of you 2021 graduates. I'm so proud of you. I love you all. Everyone who's watching, please turn on your cameras and let's celebrate these beautiful souls.